You're listening to the Telltale channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome everybody, thank you for coming. I'm much lower quality than usual, I know. It's because I'm on vacation at the moment in Nebraska. Definitely using different equipment right now. You guys would be blown away if you saw the absolutely crazy setup that I have here. I have two laptops and two little tiny 12-inch monitors configured and everything so that I'm capable of streaming in the first place. It's actually pretty impressive if I do say so myself. But yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm having some trouble with my recording, so give me just a second here. I want to do something. Hang on, let's see. 10 and 11. It's been an awesome time here so far, but holy shit, man, has it been scary and stressful. Not easy. Not easy, to say the least. I nearly got in a plane crash. The pilot got on the intercom mid-flight and said, basically, we're preparing for a crash landing and we need you guys to do the procedure, like the whole put your head between your legs thing and all of it. Hang on, let me just check something real quick to see if this is working, and I'll tell you guys the crazy story. Then we're going to talk about Flashpoint, and then we're going to play some video games while listening to Flashpoint. So give me just a second here. Just want to see if this is working. Okay, it seems to be working. Not fantastic quality, but better than nothing. I just want to make sure that this is recording properly. It says I'm dropping frames, but as long as it's recording, then I think we're good to go. Okay, let me start recording again. Hang on. Alright, that'll do. Either I get it or I don't get it. We'll go from there. Anyway. So I'm in the airplane, and we're in the air, and we were in the air for about an hour. It was an hour and a half long flight, and the pilot comes on the intercom, and I notice on my phone that I have cell signal. I should not have cell signal 30 minutes out, and we were like flying really, really low to the ground. Like crazy low. It was like we were in the process of landing at that very moment. Well, the pilot comes on the air and says we're preparing for a crash landing. And we need to put our heads in our laps and, told us where the emergency exits were again and everything. Flight attendants came up and down the aisles to make sure everybody was buckled, and they were crying. The flight attendants were crying as they walked through the aisles and checked everybody and everything. And so they said, we're going to attempt a landing now. Heads down, stay down. And they said that over and over again. Heads down, stay down. Heads down, stay down. It was a deeply fucking horrific experience. It was seriously a very traumatic experience, no joke. Everybody was crying. Everybody thought they were gonna die. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. So, that's kind of set the tone for the entire trip, where I've been stressed to the absolute max the entire time as a result. It's been a good trip otherwise. But oh boy, was it scary and stressful. Very scary and stressful. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you what we're going to be talking about today, and I'll continue on. There's this TV show owned and operated by Kenneth Copeland on the Victory Network. Name of the TV show is Flashpoint. Okay. Now, Flashpoint is actually run by a guy named, or hosted, I guess, hosted by a guy named Gene Bailey. This is the guy on screen right here. Okay. Gene Bailey is everybody on here is a hardcore, far-right, extremist, televangelist nutcase, that kind of person, okay? They hosted a Christmas episode, which I believe to be maybe their last episode of all time. I'm not really sure. I just listened to a few minutes of it, and it seems like it may be their last episode, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I wanted to listen to what they had to say, because they always have some weird stuff to say, especially when it comes to Donald Trump. They are basically Donald Trump fanboys, like all of them. They are like leaders in the MAGA movement. They have governors on this show all the time and all kinds of people like that. Anybody who supports Donald Trump they have on. So, I wanted to give this a listen, see what they have to say for themselves in their Christmas episode. And while we listen to that, try to lower my mic. And while we listen to that, we're going to play some Pokemon. This is Ultraviolet. It's a ROM hack, but it's actually just Fire Red. It's just you can get all of the Pokemon, that is all. That's the only real difference. You can get all of them. You don't have to trade or anything. They just level up for you. So, anyways, yeah, we're going to do a new game. Really good game. So, anyway, let's play it and watch some Flashpoint, shall we? Anyway, before we continue, I just wanted to give a little intro to that before we actually watch it. But yeah, I wanted to talk more about the airplane thing again. It was scary stuff, man. I was very confident that we were all going to die. I haven't smoked a cigarette in a long, long time. It's been like years, probably, or somewhere. Like, I haven't smoked consistently or regularly in years. But as soon as I got off the airplane, I actually smoked a cigarette. For the first time in years. I mean, I haven't since, but, you know, when you go through something like that, holy shit, dude, it was scary. It was really, really scary. It was scary stuff. Pretty rough, man. Pretty rough. Yeah, so my stress level has been absolutely maxed out over the past week because of that. So anyway, yeah. As you can see, I am streaming with much lower quality equipment. It's actually an interesting story how I had all of this set up. I have my wife's laptop is what I'm using to actually send data to YouTube. And I have my Mac that I usually stream like the screen share thing. I have that hooked up through a capture card, and I forgot one of my capture cards, so I'm using a lower quality camera here. It's just a webcam that I'm using this time rather than a really high quality camera like I usually have. But I'm also streaming from a Raspberry Pi that's been modded out as an emulator, like going into another capture card, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention about the airplane trip. Everybody believed that we were going to die. We all believed we were going to die. And it never occurred to me to pray to God. You know why? Because I have seen enough evidence in my life at this point to recognize that if there is a God, which I firmly don't believe there is, but if there were, he doesn't give a shit about us. There is way too much suffering on this planet for me to believe that God is helping Kenneth Copeland find his car keys, as he claims, let alone giving a shit about me or what I do in my life. I deeply, to the bottom of my heart, wish that there were somebody on the other side waiting for me or watching over me or whatever. I would love that. It is a beautiful thing to hope for and expect and wish. It's just not true, unfortunately. That's just what it is, you know? So to everybody who says there are no atheists in foxholes, being on a crashing airplane is about as close as you get to being in a foxhole without actually being in a foxhole, seems to me. And there were a few atheists up there, so... Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of it. What would you guys have done? How would you have reacted, you think, being in an airplane that is literally crashing underneath you? It was pretty scary stuff, for sure. All things considered, though, actually, the airplane flight, the flight itself, was really smooth. From what I understand, I believe one of the engines gave out completely, just stopped. And the pilot, I guess to maintain control over the airplane, had to fly a lot lower. I don't really know how it works. He had to sacrifice altitude for control. So he flew so low that he said we were landing. I thought we were going to land on like a road or something because we were so low. I thought that one of two things had gone wrong. Either the engines were giving out because it was so cold, or the landing gear was frozen shut and it wouldn't come out. If the landing gear was frozen shut, I knew we were completely fucked. But yeah, we were flying really low for about 20 minutes, and then I hear a bumping, jarring sound, and the flight attendant who's sitting there saying, "Heads down, stay down," over and over again says, "That's just a landing gear, nothing to worry about. Heads down, stay down." Of course, I wasn't keeping my head down. I kept, like, glancing out the window and looking around, seeing what was going on, you know. And at one point, I wanted to see my impending doom coming, you know. Plus, I recorded the whole thing on my phone and kept putting my phone up to the window. So I do have a recording of it, and I may actually insert parts of the recording in this. You can hear people crying and everything in the background. But at one point I lean up to look out the window, and the flight attendant says, "I said heads down! I shouldn't see any heads!" Kind of amusing in such a dark situation, but... Anyways, yeah, it was really scary stuff, man. I have faced death once in my life. Before that, I had a terminal illness in my 20s that is terminal 100% of the time without treatment. At that time, it was terminal 60% of the time with treatment. Now, we've pretty much got a grip on the illness. For the most part, it's closer to 80% or 20% of the time it'll kill you. But I was getting the treatment at the time when, you know, only 40% of people lived. And, you know, looking death in the face at that time really scarred me. But I lived through it, and I feel like I just got over, like a few years ago, that experience. And now I have this one to lean back on, so... Anyways, yeah, that's how it stays. But anyways, wait, am I frozen? Okay, can you guys hear me? Am I active? Testing, 1, 2, 3. I hope so. Last words were, "That's how," the stream froze. Okay, am I back on stream? I appear to be back on stream, I hope. I'm just checking. I'm still recording. I am back. Okay, good. Good news. Anyways. I don't know what my last words actually were. I know you guys said "that's how," but I don't know what sentence that was a part of, so... I guess I'll just tell you, I think I was talking to Perturbed Sun. I would love to play those games. I've heard good things, like Elden Ring and stuff, but no, I've never played Elden Ring. So anyways, yeah, thank you so much for the super chat there. Just checking through the chat. Everything going okay? Did you guys lose any pertinent information? What was the last thing I was talking about? Was it anything super important? I need mods? Are we having a bad time with mods or whatever? Alright, I'm gonna add Cootmaster as a mod for the moment. Yeah, Shadow Rose is here, and a mod Pumpkin J is here. Okay, cool. Cootmaster, you may only be a temporary mod for the moment. We'll see. It just kind of depends. Okay, we're good. We're in good shape. Oh, Nemo Nova's here also. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's listen to Flashpoint, shall we? We're a little bit late. I just wanted to get that off my chest. All right, let's listen to Flashpoint here.
What a great time. But let me welcome everybody.
Oh, I got to step back because that's past the intro. Okay, cool. Here we go.
Well, Merry Christmas to everybody. So good to see you. I'm Gene Bailey. You're watching Flashpoint. Now, you may notice something's different.
It's Christmassy?
Yes. I just want you to know it's been a good run here on Flashpoint. I'm believing that today will go very well as we enter the Christmas season because we have people with us that you don't normally see.
Okay, that was a really weird thing to say at the beginning of this, right? I suspect, so this TV show is on a network called the Victory Network. It's like, you know, Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or Oxygen or whatever. It's just a normal TV network, right? And it's owned and operated by Kenneth Copeland. Well, Flashpoint, the TV show that we're watching here, was originally intended to only run for a short time. Until Trump won the 2020 election, basically, from my understanding, and then they were going to shut down. I'm not super sure exactly what their run was planned to be or whatever else. But anyways, they continued on to run the show anyways beyond the time they originally planned. And what he just said made it seem like this might be the end. That would be fantastic. This is an extremist show run by extremists for extremists. So if it did shut down, it would be great. I would love that very much.
And welcome to the program,
Thank
Terry,
you,
my wife, Terry. I call Terry my secret weapon. When we wake up in the morning, I wake up looking for the coffee. She wakes up with news stories she's already pulled. So what a great time. But let me welcome everybody else is here. Look at that. What a fine look.
Okay, so we've got on the top right, this is, sorry, this is Lance Wallnau and his wife. I've never actually seen his wife before, interestingly enough. Bottom left, Hank Kunneman and Brenda Kunneman. I'm actually in Nebraska right now. Hank Kunneman's church is only like 45 minutes away from me. I could go to it, but that's going to be a hard pass for me, so. And then we've got Dutch Sheets and his wife in the bottom right. These people, oh my god, dude. Absolute nutter butters to the highest degree. I'll introduce them to you, like, as we kind of go through and hear from each group. I'll show you some of the craziest clips from each that I've got. But let's keep listening to these guys and see what they have to say here.
Looking bunch of people there. Lance and Annabelle, one of my favorite people. I'm talking about Annabelle, Lance. And
hey, welcome, Tyler Cross. Haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course. I knew that was coming.
Oh, no. Pastor Hank and Brenda, and of course, Dutch and CeCe Sheets. Man, thank you guys for joining us here on the special Christmas Flashpoint.
Well, man, Gene, I really...
Just complete silence, and then everybody talks. As a host, Gene Bailey should have, like, led somebody in and said, thank you guys for coming. Lance, why don't you tell us what you've been up to or something? Instead, he just lets a massive cacophony of loud noises flood in. Genius. He's a terrible host.
I like your jacket, Gene. I love that look, man. We hardly ever see that on Flashpoint. I want to see that look more often.
That is a pretty regal look, I have to be honest.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's...
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Pastor Gene, I have a question.
Yes.
Are you selling like cologne? Because I would buy it, like the Red Velvet Man cologne, you know? I just think that would be incredible.
That is a metal outfit, honestly. I have to say. That, you know, if a Christian came to my door trying to get me to convert and he was wearing that, I might just do it.
That's impressive.
It is impressive. All right, so, you know, on this program, you know, I want to hear,
Love it.
You're going to hear from all of us, all the normal guys, but this is a time I have been harassed and cajoled and like, why don't you put the wives on? People at home have been sending emails on, we want to see who your wives are. The crew, you know, so.
You know, I don't know what it is, but I can totally see Gene Bailey being married to this woman. It completely makes sense. I feel like they're a good match for each other.
I take no responsibility from this point forward of what is said or done. So, Terry?
Yes.
Tell me about, we'll break the ice here.
Okay.
Tell me about your favorite Christmas. That's a good icebreaker.
Oh, the favorite Christmas I always have is the last Christmas. How was that?
I could be wrong, but I don't think that they've ever... I think they're brand new, like they're newlyweds. I don't think they've been together for very long. Which is actually kind of amusing, that, you know, she would pick the last Christmas because that's the first one they had together. I mean, I don't know that that's true. I think they're about to talk about it. I listened to a couple of minutes of this beforehand.
You're supposed to say with
You want me
me.
to explain with you, of
There
course.
it
with
is.
you.
Okay, good.
Every Christmas with you.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so there you go. That was
That was cringe.
such a politically correct answer.
Thank you very much.
It was cringe, is what it was, actually.
Thank you. All right, so what was your favorite toy growing up that you got, or gift? I won't say toy. Gift. What's your favorite gift?
Let's see here. Probably as a little girl,
All right.
those little kitchen sets that my father set up that actually had the little burners you turned on, and had the little red lights
Such a traditional housewife, right?
and all the dishes and the pretend food. Yes.
So not an easy bake oven, but the pre-runner to that.
No,
Oh, dude, I wanted an easy bake so bad. Not because I, like, wanted to be, like, the chef or the cook or whatever for the house. Just because I knew you could use that little 70-watt light bulb to cook cupcakes, and I so wanted cupcakes on demand. Oh, my God. Would have done anything for those damn cupcakes. Never did get that easy bake, though.
Easy bake oven my parents gave to me, but my father really disappointed me because we would work really, really hard and make all the cookies and everything else, and it would come out of the oven after so much preparation, and he would take it, throw them, and they were gone in like seconds.
Well, there you go. And
Okay, I feel like this is kind of a weird story. Is she saying that she spent her time cooking these cookies and cupcakes in an easy bake oven, and her dad just walked over and ate it all in like one munch?
a big shout out to fathers everywhere who appreciate that.
Assembly.
So yes.
Assembly required. It used to be horrible.
And it used to cook it on a light bulb.
I know.
A light bulb. Was
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was just a cheap little light bulb. It was like a 70-watt light bulb that cooked it. It only got up to like 100 degrees or something, almost nothing. And you had to have special cupcakes, I think, for it, or a special mix that was like pre-cooked. I don't even know. I never had one, so this is partially a guess.
It took forever, and then he just
I guess it was an educated guess. Yeah.
destroyed it.
All right, let me go to Lance and
You know, she's like laughing at this. This doesn't sound funny. It sounds sad.
Annabelle. Lance, of course, let's give everybody who doesn't know Annabelle a little history, when you guys met and how you got to this place.
Okay, before we listen to Annabelle and her whole history of Lance or whatever, let's talk about Lance himself. Let me show you a little clip from Lance here. Hang on, let me find a good one. I have one screen. Okay. I have one screen right here that is actually showing the stream, and then one screen right here is the game, and then this is the chat and stuff. But behind the stream that we're watching is my laptop itself, and so I have to lean forward and look behind the stream screen to find the clips. So let's see here. Clips. shoot, hang on. Okay. Come on, pull it together, computer. You can do it, old buddy. What? This is the computer I usually use. There's nothing different about this. Why is this little guy dying on me here? Alright, let me try relaunching. Hold on. Okay, try reopening. OMG! Pull it together, computer! Oh no. Okay. Okay, hold on 1 second. Oh god, I just bumped the camera. What a nightmare. Okay, let's try this. Okay, cool. Maybe angle it up just a little bit more. Down just a little more. That'll do. Okay. Here we go. Now it's working. Okay, Lance Wallnau. Sorry for the wait, guys. I just wanted to... Let me find a good one here. Hold up.
Lord,
good one, good one, good one.
Some of your
Yeah.
Lord,
Where do you...
Looking for one specifically. It was from 2020, I think. Hold up.
I have a people's. I believe.
This is the one. Okay, cool. This is my Telegram. I only use Telegram for following Nutter Butters. Okay, cool. Here we go. Okay, so this is Lance Wallnau. This is the guy that they were talking about a minute ago on Flashpoint. I just want to introduce you to him. This is the first time I ever came across this guy, was this clip. And it's him defending Trump, I believe, before the election, before the 2020 election. Yeah, I think this is October, a month before the 2020 election actually took place. So give this a listen.
I believe Donald Trump has unfinished business in the nation. And I believe you will not let someone who has stood with Israel and stood with Christians, you will not let them be ingloriously beaten and embarrassed by your enemies because your name is part of this, Lord. What will the heathens say? What will the radicals say? What will the
What would the heathens, radicals, and communists say if Donald Trump lost his election? Well, I guess that includes me, right? Would you consider me to be a heathen slash radical slash communist? I mean, I don't consider myself communist at all. I don't consider myself a heathen either, really. Heathen is just kind of being used derogatorily here. Really, you know, wait, this is a trainer. Why am I throwing a ball at a trainer's Pokemon? Sorry about that. I wasn't even paying attention. And I wouldn't even call myself a radical. I'm just kind of a middle-of-the-road, normal, run-of-the-mill fella. But Lance Wallnau believes that if you are not if you're not an evangelical extremist like him, you're a radical. That's his whole viewpoint.
say when someone who stands with you so conspicuously is that does not have a friend in high places?
What would the heathens and radicals say if somebody like Donald Trump, who stands with God so conspicuously, loses an election? What would the heathens say? Boy, he really stuck his foot in his mouth on this one, didn't he?
Over them, but I believe you are going to watch over this president.
Yeah, so that's Lance Wallnau. I mean, there are a billion examples of this guy blatantly coming out and saying that he wants a Christian nationalist state desperately. He will do anything to attain a Christian nationalist state. He's pretty open about it, to a disturbing degree. So anyway, let's listen to what he has to say. He and his wife here, apparently.
Well, all right, you got to hear Annabelle's version of this, because she's going to always tell you stuff that I would never say. That's what wives do. They tell you. That's why it's always with trepidation you bring your wife on, because you know you spend all your life trying to kind of like get this certain thing together. Then your wife exposes the reality behind it. So
Dude, you know what's fascinating about watching these guys is getting a glimpse into their headspace and their relationships and how absolutely weird they are.
Annabelle, go ahead and answer that.
Well, I knew Lance since I was 9 and he was 11, so our parents were friends as we grew up. His
same religion originally, I'm assuming, probably met in the same church, right?
mom wanted one of our 5 girls in my family to marry one of the 3 boys in his family. And so she was wheeling and dealing with my older sister, with his oldest brother, then my older sister with him, and then me and him, and then she got her winner. She told me she didn't really care which one married him.
Imagine that. Imagine your mother working with her with one of her girlfriends to get the kids together and matching them up as they're growing up. So Annabelle and I grew up together, and she would always describe me as the skinny kid with braces. That was it.
Very funny.
It was very funny. I'd be entertaining. And then when I became a Christian, their whole family lamented the fact that I became a Jesus freak and a poor kid.
Wow, okay. Did he not grow up as a Christian? You know, some of these people, some of these like super far-right televangelist types claim that they didn't grow up as Christians, when in reality they did. They were very religious growing up, like still complete nutcases. They just weren't this very specific brand of nutcase growing up, so they claim not to have been Christian at all. Like, Kirk Cameron, I'm pretty sure, wasn't an atheist growing up. He was still super religious. He still believed in Jesus and all this other stuff. He just wasn't this absolutely unhinged, you know, blinded with nut battery or nutcasery or wing nuttery or whatever. He wasn't that when he was little, and not until he's like 16. So he claimed, I was an atheist until I was blah, blah, blah. Completely made up, of course. So anyway, I'm wondering if that's the type of situation we're looking at with Lance Wallnau right now. Like, was Lance Wallnau really not a Christian growing up? How do you go from not being a Christian at all to being this? To being what Lance Wallnau is? Like, that is nuts.
Lost it. Yeah. Then I grabbed Annabelle and made her one of our tribe.
Yeah, that's funny. All right.
You know, it's so interesting that he's like acknowledging that it's like part of a tribe. So weird, dude.
So now explain where you guys grew up. What state? What part of the country?
We grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and his dad was really a developer of the whole county, and my dad was OBGYN at the hospital, so his dad was on the board, and my dad was a doctor, a OBGYN doctor. But
can Christian fundamentalist nutcases be OBGYNs? Is that allowed?
It's just amazing how our lives overlapped with the Exchange Club and different clubs they were in, and so what would you say about that?
Well, you know, so Gene, our dads came out of World War II, so they were both on the GI Bill of Rights, and they would talk about it.
Yeah.
So they were vets.
Amazing.
My dad was in the Air Force. Her dad was in the Marines.
I find it so fascinating that these people came from families that fought Nazis and are now effectively Nazis themselves. It's such a short turnover, right? It was only, 70 years between the Nazi scourge basically overtaking the entire world to some degree, and then eradicating the Nazi scourge from the face of the planet, and now it is back. It is just bizarre to me.
And he came to Philadelphia. He was a mechanic, but he went to medical school and became an obstetrician gynecologist, delivered all the babies, in Levittown, Pennsylvania. My dad was, went to engineering and law school off the GI Bill of Rights and ended up building. So these guys were like the people that built them.
Is it called the GI Bill of Rights? I feel like they're adding something to it here. Isn't it just the GI Bill? I thought the GI Bill, like, gave them, like, extra stuff, like, they could go to college for free and things like that, right? It's not like a Bill of Rights, is it? Why is he calling it that? Is it the Bill of Rights? Am I, like, uninformed on this or something? Is this one of the worst streams you've ever had? If not, what was the worst? Christian version of the Christmas Carol is the worst. Happy holidays. I appreciate that. One of the worst streams I've ever had? I don't think so. I mean, it's pretty fun. I'm just in a different location with, like, different quality equipment and stuff. It was a challenge setting it up, but it's my first time streaming from afar. So I'm glad to know that now that it's actually possible for me to stream without all of my equipment that I have at home. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay myself. David says good night. Daniel M. Okay. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. Wonder if you've ever played the game Binding of Isaac. I have not. I've not played that. I do know of it, though. I've heard it's really good. And I've seen it played a few times. Melissa Holybaugh, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate it. Also, Zinka Cat, thank you for becoming a member. Okay, awesome. I think I'm caught up.
America, when we talk about that generation. They built out Levittown, Pennsylvania, Fairless Hills. My dad was in the oil business. He wanted me to be like, you know, like him, like an engineer or, you know, a lawyer, and I ended up doing theater. So that was a bit of a challenge for him until I got saved. Then I was...
Yeah, I think most of the time people don't want their kids to get into theater because they believe that getting into theater will turn them gay. Of course, that's incorrect, and who cares if it does anyways. But that's usually the big fear. That's probably why his dad had a problem with him getting into theater, but okay. I mean, that's these people's fear, like Christian evangelical extremists sit up at night fearing that their kid is going to get into theater. Like, who cares?
It's a real problem. But we grew up together in the same county, and so the families would get together for holidays, and all the kids would kind of hang out. So it's kind of like we're like an arranged marriage, one of those ones that actually worked out.
Yeah, was there any trading of camel?
Dude, and they're like proud of this. He's saying that we were like an arranged marriage that worked out. He's proud of it. Seriously, what goes through these people's heads?
Or anything like that involved?
Well,
there was a conversation about this being an expensive situation.
There was, yeah, there was. Like her dad sat me down, and he said when I asked him if I could marry his daughter, he was very delighted about it. The parents were already ready. They were already on the phone. They were setting it up. You know, my mother said, "Go over and talk to Dr. Naples," and I said, "Okay." So I go over to talk to Dr. Naples, and he sits me down. He says, "Now I want you to know something." That you're now the man, and you're taking responsibility for my daughter. And I realized later what he was trying to tell me. He says, so I'm turning my daughter over to you, and I want you to know something.
You know, that's really what marriage is. Passing custody from a father to, you know, another man. And it's deeply weird and disturbing. And I just don't know why people do that anymore. My wife and I, when we got married, there was no passing of custody or any of that garbage. It was just standing there joining in a union between us. She was not given away or any of that other garbage. It's just an odd tradition. It's almost like an ownership tradition. Why would anybody do that?
She can really spend money. He was warning me ahead of time that I was inheriting the financial responsibility of his daughter. And it didn't occur to me until later. I said to Annabelle, it's a really weird conversation. Like he's telling me my daughter can spend money. But you know what? He was trying to warn me.
Is there anybody on planet Earth that cannot spend money, quote unquote? Trying to warn him. Seriously, this is like the greedy Jew trope, you know? Like, is there anybody on planet Earth that doesn't want money? Really, think about this. Everybody wants money. There isn't like a class of people that is more drawn to money than others. That's ridiculous. There isn't like a group of people, like women are just more, you know, attracted to money. Like, give me a break. This is a good example of people leaning on stereotypes. This is an example, this probably isn't intentional on his part, I would guess. He's just telling a joke, right? But This is an example of being bigoted without even realizing that you're being bigoted. He's perpetuating stereotypes, tropes, and hatred without even realizing it.
Hey, man, I have skills.
Yes, you do. We know you have skills. All right, so we're gonna circle back to a lot of this.
Gene Bailey's wife there on the left doesn't seem to be too happy about this conversation.
But let me go to Pastor Hank and Brenda. Let's talk about the people that don't know you guys, how you guys met, and let's talk a little bit about Christmas here.
Oh boy, Hank and Brenda. Okay, let's talk about Hank and Brenda. Let me give you guys a couple of clips from these Nutter Butters. Hold on, let me find some good ones. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So, hang on, let me just blow this up. Alright, and let me pull up one from Hank. Let's see. Good one from Hank. Good one from Hank.
Philadelphia, we were in. Now let's just. But the Father, but I did.
Hold up. Okay, hold up. How long is this one?
Father, we released that anointing.
Ah, it's too long. 3 minutes. Let me find a good one. Hold up. Let me go back a little bit.
They all think if you stand for right.
Okay, this'll do. This'll do. All right. Okay. Pull it in. Okay, now let's talk about Hank and Brenda Kunneman, okay? They run a church in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm actually in Nebraska right now for Christmas time with some family members and stuff. Hank's church is actually about 45 minutes away from me, so I could go there and crash the church, but I don't think I want to do that. Anyway, let me introduce you to these two. This is Brenda Kunneman. Listen to what she had to say here. This one is from late January 2022.
I can't find anything, and believe me, I've looked, anything on the left that is good to support. Okay, it's filled with lies and homosexuality and abominations and, you know.
Yeah, it's really not. When she says, like, things on the left, I don't even know what she means exactly, but the right focuses on quote-unquote homosexuality, like, way more than the left does. The left just wants, you know, the LGBT community to be allowed to go to a cake baker or to go to, you know, eat at a restaurant or whatever without being harassed. That's all anybody ever wanted. Equal treatment, that's it. But it's not about equal treatment with her. You know what she wants? She wants supremacy. That's what they've always wanted. And they have this weird obsession with it. Like, they cannot think about anything else.
In fact, the party, I'll just say it, the Democrat Party put straight up on their platform, that we are the party of the non-religious. We don't want God. We're atheists. That's what they've said. You can go read it yourself.
It does not say that, as a matter of fact. I covered this clip a while back on, I think on my Fireside Chat channel. And we actually went through, like, the whole thing. You know, I think I'm good. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why this is buffering like this. I have it set on really low resolution and everything, too. It shouldn't be this bad. Anyway, hopefully I didn't, like, miss too much stuff, and hopefully I'm successfully getting this recorded and all that stuff. Anyway, yeah, I just gotta watch for that, I guess. Anyways, it's subtle, but it's there. She pushes her audience to do what she wants them to do, to believe what she wants them to believe. And that includes the belief that you should be paying 50% of everything that you bring in to her church. Remember, it's a mega church, so you should be donating everything you've got to these people.
Come on, somebody.
Deeply cringy people, both of them. So that's Brenda. She is a televangelist, and this is her husband, Hank. He is also a televangelist. Listen to what he has to say here.
They all think if you stand for righteousness that you're a freak. right? They're all trying to tell you that there are certain things that are clean. And God calls them abominations. Can I give you an example?
Please do. Give me an example, bud.
Homosexuality, lesbianism, according to God, New Testament, Old Testament, is and was an abomination.
Okay, interesting. Well, there are 6 verses in the Bible, total. Only 6 that even mention being gay to any degree or in any form. Half of them can be thrown right out the window because they're from the old law, which was nullified when Jesus came along. There are 2 or 3 more mentions in the New Testament, which could arguably be thrown out also, because it's questionable that it's even referring to what we now know as, homosexuality, which is long-term gay relationships, long-term marriages stemming from gay relationships. That's really what we're talking about in today's society when we refer to homosexuality. I mean, that is arguably not what the Bible was talking about when it was talking about abominations. It was talking about going off and cheating on your partner and being adulterous and all this other good stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not as cut and dry as they like to make it out. They just need somebody to hate, naturally. That's Hank and Brenda. Okay, am I back? I think I'm back. Yeah, I think I'm back now. I'm actually streaming on my phone's hotspot, believe it or not. It is not fantastic quality, but I am doing my best. So sorry, guys. Hopefully this works. God, I can't even believe that this is actually working right now. My phone's hotspot. Crazy that this is actually working. Okay, let's continue on for a little bit, and hopefully it holds out for us. Okay. Yeah, it's poor quality. Okay, I think I'm back. And hypothetically speaking, this back should be permanent. I hope so, at least. Okay, I'm no longer on my hotspot. If I'm on my hotspot, I think I can stream, but I have to do it at a lower resolution. So, anyways. Alright, let's keep listening to Hank Kunneman here.
Debate why homosexuality is okay. And so Lester Summerall said, well, he said, I only got one thing. And they said, what? What's your one thing? And they're thinking he's going to go down the scriptures. He said, I just want you to describe to us how you men have, is there any little kids in here? How you come together.
Okay, so what Hank is saying here is he decided to, or he knows somebody who decided to hold a debate with more moderate Christians on whether or not it should be allowed to be gay, or whatever. Whether or not people should have the freedom to do whatever they want in their personal lives, including, but not limited to, being gay, right? And Hank's side, or Hank's buddy, or whoever this was that was talking, his knockdown argument against being gay was to ask people how they come together, quote unquote, how they do it. Why is that something you would ask somebody? What does that have to do with whether or not it's real? It's wrong? Got me. No clue, couldn't even guess. No idea what that has to do with anything at all. Why don't you tell me how you come together with your wife, Hank?
And they ended it.
They ended the debate when he asked that. Genius.
They didn't want to discuss it.
Because it's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with anything at all. Why does anybody care about how they do this or that or whatever else?
They know that's disgusting.
Well, it's not disgusting to everybody. He thinks he got one over on everybody. He thinks he, won the argument. he succeeded or something. The level of, what's the word I'm looking for here? The level of self-satisfaction here is too much.
Sodom and Gomorrah. Where do you get sodomy from?
Yeah, and why were Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed by God? It wasn't because of homosexuality. It was because of their ill treatment of the poor. Homosexuality had basically nothing to do with it. But he likes to conveniently forget or ignore that fact. It's right there in black and white in the Bible. God was on his way to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah before anybody knew anything about homosexual activity taking place in the city, because they mistreated the poor. So yeah, that's Hank Kunneman, if you were unaware. That's the kind of guy that we're dealing with here on this TV show. A real winner, as you can tell, a real winner. And his wife is also a real winner. So, let's listen to these real winners lay it on us. Tell us your Christmas stories, Hank and Brenda.
How did we meet, Brenda? Actually, Brenda was chasing after me like crazy.
We worked on staff at the same church, and he kept coming in my office trying to meet me.
Without a chaperone? Uh-oh.
That's what it was.
And that was 33 years ago, over 33 years ago. And it's because, see, she married me, Pastor Gene and Terry, because I absolutely looked like Jesus. Isn't that what?
What? You looked like Jesus, and that's why you got married? Are you kidding me? How does she even know what Jesus looks like, for that matter? Nobody knows what Jesus looks like, except that he's Middle Eastern, right?
So the story goes,
yeah.
The story is that he, well, of course, people know that Hank draws cartoons. So he would draw me cartoons on
I didn't know that.
pieces of copy paper from the church copier.
And I still have them, by the way.
Yes, and then so when we finally got engaged, he was in an Easter drama at the big church, and of course he played none other than Jesus. And so...
with a fake beard, because
yeah,
I couldn't grow one.
No, he couldn't grow it. So he had the beard, and it was interesting, and he was covered in makeup, but anyway...
He can't grow a beard. That's interesting. I mean, I'm not one to talk. I can't really grow a beard either. I can. It just takes forever, and it looks like complete trash, so I don't, generally. But, yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, so he decides on Easter Sunday, dressed as the resurrected Christ...
I look just like him, Gene.
...to propose to me. How could you say no to Jesus was his...
Isn't that a little blasphemous? I mean, and not that I care. I really don't. I couldn't possibly care less. But that feels a little blasphemous to me.
But here's what's so funny is, so
you had
the,
props.
the cast,
you had props for your engagement.
I had props.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to say no to a guy that looks like Jesus?
I mean, he had a purple sash, a white robe. I mean, he looked holy.
But here...
Wow, how can you say no? Is it that easy to make her say yes? Just dress up like Jesus? Is that all you got to do? She'll do anything for Jesus, right?
Here's the funny part. So the whole cast, they couldn't stop laughing at times and in serious parts because I couldn't grow a beard. So they had to, I don't know what they used back 33 years ago, but they used this glue and they put this fake beard on, and every time, you know, I'd start sweating. Every time I'd talk, the mustache would move and the beard would move.
That's how it went. Will you marry me?
Yeah. And so not only was it, you know, a hairy...
Dude, these people are so weird.
...situation there, but...
Hairy situation. He's just terrible, dude. Come on. If you're going to tell a stupid joke, make it at least a little better than that. It can't be that bottom of the barrel if you're telling stupid jokes.
It was love.
It was. So Christmas. We got to talk about Christmas.
Oh, wait. Is that the question about Christmas?
Yeah.
See, this is the way it goes. They never answer my questions.
No, the question was, how did you two meet, I think.
It used to be Lance was the only one that didn't answer. Now you picked up his habits. Nobody's answering.
I've watched a lot of Flashpoint. I'm answering the questions.
Well, Lance answers the world questions. I don't.
Okay.
Okay, so what's...
So Christmas.
All right, what's the Christmas?
Well, Hank has learned in 33 years, don't buy me any Christmas presents.
No.
Because usually either they don't fit or they're not my style or something. So...
But it has to be... Okay, you know what this tells me? This tells me that Hank doesn't know anything about his wife. You know what my wife got me for Christmas? Let me show you. Hang on. Give me a second. I gotta show you guys. Okay, here's the first thing. It is, well, you know, it got a lot of stuff, actually, but... Okay, here's one of them. It's a diorama of Pokemon Fire Red, actually, what we're playing, kind of appropriate. Oak, every journey begins with a choice. I think that's pretty cool. I'm trying to figure out how to show you guys. And so they're basically paper cutouts you can see from the side here. That's fucking awesome right there. And check this other out. Some of you may know that I've been trying to kind of study to be a tour guide for New York City. I think that would be metal as fuck, right? I know a lot about New York City and how it works. Well, check this out. She also got me this. See if I can jump in a little bit here. These are... God, this camera is so confusing. These are subway tokens, basically, throughout the years. So we've got 1953 all the way to 1995 when they started using Metro cards. And it came with this little note that says, the subway fare was a nickel for the first 44 years and a dime for the next 5 years. In 1953, the fare was set to rise 15 cents, but engineers couldn't design a turnstile that would accept 2 different coins. Thus, the token was born. With the introduction of the versatile Metro card, tokens were retired. For more than 20 years now, Tokens and Icons has been a charter MTA licensee. So, yeah, Tokens and Icons, I guess, is where she got them. But, yep. These are the subway coins that the New York City subway used. Trying to turn it so that it's even. I think that's pretty fucking cool. See, it didn't have to be an outfit. It didn't have to be some ridiculous... I don't know what she thinks that Hank would get her that she would hate. The fact that she isn't getting presents from him tells me he doesn't know anything about her. And doesn't care. Doesn't know what his interests are. Doesn't know what things, you know, what hobbies he's into or what hobbies she is into or any of that. Knows nothing about each other, apparently. Like, it's not that hard to get something thoughtful, you know? My wife is, her ancestry goes back to, like, Germans from Russia. There was a period of time where Russia was trying to bring Germans in to get them to immigrate to the region. Or just bring anybody in. They offered land near the Volga River. And I got a cookbook for Germans from the Volga River area in Russia. And as it turns out, I mean, that's kind of her ancestry. As it turns out, she sees a lot of... Sorry, She sees a lot of familiar recipes in there, things that she's kind of grown up, you know, passed through the family, and they cooked when she was little and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be expensive. In fact, it's better if it's not expensive, in my opinion. You know, that cookbook cost me like 20 bucks or something. I mean, how much did these coins cost? How much did the diorama cost? Not that much, right? It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be this big piece of clothing that she's super into. The fact that she doesn't get things from him for Christmas tells me He doesn't know anything about her, and vice versa. They have, honestly, it seems to me, I mean, I'm speculating and I have no right to, just seems like they have a piss-poor relationship. They know nothing about each other. But, okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Let me know what you think.
So now we have this little agreement that here's how we do our Christmas shopping. Not that we never buy presents for each other, because we do. But usually we go online. Thank God for the internet. We go online. We order what we like, and then when it comes on the door.
Actually, I think that's thanks science for the internet. But okay.
Step, we just say thank you for what you got me.
Yep, that's right. Now,
that's it.
And I am very hard to shop for, so you know she knows.
I can't imagine he's that hard to shop for. Just find something that's in his wheelhouse that he has some interest in, and find something cheap that's meaningful, right? It can't be that difficult, can it?
Knows me though very well. So Brenda, if I go into a seafood place, and that's what's on the menu, what is Hank gonna get?
A hamburger.
A hamburger. If I go to an Italian restaurant, what's Hank gonna order?
Lasagna.
If I go to a steakhouse, what's Hank gonna order?
A hamburger or steak.
There you go.
Or ribs.
Or
maybe ribs
yep.
if they have it.
So there you go.
Okay, that means they go out to eat a lot. It doesn't mean they take a personal interest in each other's lives.
So you can see how the shopping works in our family.
That's it.
Here, so.
I mean, he's not hard. You're not difficult.
You guys rehearsed this before the show. I know you did.
No, it's just cheesy and terrible in my opinion.
Let me go to Dutch and CeCe Sheets, please.
Okay, now let me introduce you to Dutch Sheets, since we're switching over to Dutch. Oh, this guy. Okay, let me find a good one. Hold up. Okay, yeah, here we go, here we go. This is a good one. Alright. Okay, let me introduce you to Dutch Sheets. This guy is something else, to say the least. Okay, so this is Dutch Sheets. He's a televangelist and a nutter butter extraordinaire, naturally. In this episode, he is telling the audience about the time he was holding a church service, I think in 2004. This is like supposed to be a long time ago when this happened, the story that he's telling. He just told this story like a couple months ago, but it's an old story. He's up there giving his church service, and out of nowhere begins to cry, okay, while standing there giving his church service. And his wife says he's communing with God right now. They turn the lights off and leave him up front at the lectern at the church to cry up there. Listen to what happens next.
I went to over in the corner and I grabbed a flag we had and I wrapped it around me and I laid on the floor. And I sobbed and I knew I was crying with him. I knew we were crying together for this nation, Gene. And it became so intense that at one point I said, and I meant that.
Dude is literally crying because George Bush was in a fight against John Kerry to win the election or some other nonsense. Oh my God. This is an unhealthy obsession. An unhealthy obsession with religion and politics. Absolutely not good for you mentally.
This was not hype, or I'm not trying to be sensational here.
I bet. Let's hear the sensational thing you're about to say.
I said, God, please, you have to stop this. Because my heart is literally going to break and I'm going to die. And I said, please don't kill me. So for 3.5 hours this happened, and here's what he said to me at one point. And I know this was God. And I could never, ever, ever be convinced this wasn't God.
Okay, I don't think anyone in the audience was questioning this, but all right.
He said, I must have this nation. I must have this nation back.
Okay, so yeah, that's Dutch Sheets demanding the nation back, quote unquote, in God's name. Just weird stuff, dude. There's another segment to this that he said earlier. I don't know if I have it in another clip or what, but he basically said that he rolled himself up in a flag and laid on the floor and cried in the corner on the ground, draped in a flag, for hours and hours. And all of this came as he just started crying right in the middle of a church sermon. Like, oh my God, dude, I would never come back to this church again if the pastor was just given a normal service and then out of nowhere fell on the ground and started crying and wrapped himself in a flag. It's very obviously an emotional breakdown that he's having right now, and really needs help. Like, seriously, the dude needs help desperately. So, anyway, that's Dutch Sheets. Oop. Oh my God, I hit the wrong button. Let's listen to what he and his wife have to say to each other here. Check this out.
Is there any grown-ups in the room? Dutch and CeCe, let's talk about your history and go from there.
Well, you know, we didn't know each other growing up. I went to Christ for the Nations in 1977, and a prophet there, the first week I was there, put his finger in my face and said, "God's going to give you a wife here." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he says, "Is there anybody you're dating?" And I said, "Well, I'm dating some girl back in Ohio." And he said, "She's not the one." And I said, "Okay." He said, "She's right here, and you're not ready yet, but within a year you'll be married." Nothing like
This is weird, seriously. Why would somebody say something like that to another person, especially an impressionable kid? This could very easily alter the path of someone's life for the worse. It could make it significantly worse. And the guy had no idea what he was even talking about, for that matter.
Like this had ever happened to me before. And a few weeks later, CeCe was singing in the choir at Christ for the Nations. First time I saw her. And I heard the Lord say, "There's your wife." And I was just blown away. I thought, she's way out of my league. But, you know, I did the right thing. I waited.
I think that they're both roughly at the same level of attractiveness, but okay. So is he putting a puff in her petticoat? I think that's what's happening right now.
Well, I dated her for a week before I asked her to marry me, and so everything's worked out really well, Gene. That's just kind of the big picture. She
No
could
need
give
to
more
rush into
details,
anything.
But no, we didn't rush into it. We dated for a full week before I asked her to marry me. Of course, she was so crazy about me, she just fell into my arms and said, "Absolutely, you know." I've been
Okay,
waiting
well,
on you all
let's
my
get the
life."
other side of the story.
Yeah, they don't usually date in these evangelical communities. Commonly, they do what's called courting, which involves mandatory, what do you call it, chaperones, people that are always around watching, making sure you're not getting into any shenaniganery and all kinds of other stuff. I'm assuming that this is pre, any involvement in serious nutter buttery. That's my guess, for Dutch Sheets' case at the very least.
Okay, CeCe, tell us what really happened.
Well, we were not far off. That actually did happen, but I didn't know anything about it, of course. And I was on the student council, which meant did a photo shoot with them, and my picture was on the back of the school magazine. So he literally took the magazine to a friend and said, "What's her name?"
No, I didn't do anything like that either.
Anyway.
Okay, I take that to mean that he did.
I think it was 7 months later we were married, and last week we celebrated.
Wow, they really rush into this stuff, don't they? 7 months later, he didn't even know her name, and 7 months later they're married? That is nuts.
Celebrated our 45th anniversary.
That's awesome.
So
Christ on a cracker. 45th anniversary, married after 7 months of knowing each other.
I guess it took.
That's wonderful. So far. Yep, it's working out so far.
So far, it's been good.
So, Terry,
I will tell you this.
Go ahead.
Well, I will tell you this part. When I brought him home, though, to meet the parents, like what Annabelle was talking with her family.
Oh boy, meeting the parents.
My dad did something pretty unusual. I grew up on a farm, and your stature in life was totally on the degree of how hard you could work. And so when I brought him home to meet the family, my daddy took him to the barn and made him help him vaccinate 40 baby calves.
Made him vaccinate. Ooh, boy. That isn't that a cardinal sin in their religion, vaccinating? Risky stuff. Isn't it interesting that they're all for vaccinating, like, their pets and stuff, but they throw a hissy fit when it comes to just getting vaccinated yourself? I mean, this TV show, if you're unfamiliar with it, screamed about how evil vaccination was for like months and months and months after the vaccine came out. Always talking about Dr. Fauci and, you know, blah, 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 all that other garbage. And here we sit, suddenly vaccination isn't so bad.
And about 3 hours later, he came to the house, and I could smell him from about 50 yards away. So I got the hose and hosed him off, and my daddy was smiling.
Okay, why would you smell bad from vaccinating? I mean, just walking through mud and stuff, is that what would cause it? I mean, you're not going to... Vaccination is not necessarily just a complete mess of a task, is it? Taking care of the animals after vaccinating them might be, but just going in and giving them the vaccine doesn't seem too bad to me.
Smiling, so I knew it was...
I passed the test.
Signed, sealed, and delivered, Dad said.
We have that in common. I've done that as well. And I knew immediately a career in television or ministry was in my future. But yeah, working cattle, it's a whole nother world.
I.e., I realized that, you know, doing farm work or doing like what middle class work or blue collar, I guess you call it. Doing blue collar work is not for me, so I decided to go white collar. That's basically what he's saying. Great idea if you want to connect with your, you know, lower middle class audience. Fantastic right there, Gene.
All right, so
Yeah.
Terry, we should tell our story. I think let's get your version first.
Oh, you should go first, sweetheart.
Let's hear how did we get together?
Oh, wow, okay, well, she wanted him to go, and he just said, no, you go. Okay, jeez.
Facebook. Yes. Basically, I was divorced for 6 or 7 years, I think it was, and didn't see anybody, and spent a lot of time with God and my kids and in ministry. And I was on Facebook, and they have like so many people that you have in common, and they recommend that you friend somebody. So there was like 274 people in common, and God said, like, is he cute? I thought, well, yeah, he's cute.
God asked this woman if this guy was cute that she saw on Facebook. Really? Okay.
Why don't you friend him? I don't do that. Are you going to obey or not? And he was a public figure, so I thought surely one person just, and immediately goes, do I know you?
Yeah, so here's the other side of the story.
Wow, interesting. Well, here's my thing. I did meet my wife through the internet myself. Like, you know, we were friends on the internet, so kind of a similar story, but I actually have a really big problem with people meeting through their, what would you call their business, or like their YouTube channels, or their, I don't know, TV shows or whatever. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I did meet my wife through like my Discord server, for example, but there's a real power imbalance there to be had that should not be swept aside easily. It should be taken into consideration. Now, I think you can do it safely without taking advantage of that power imbalance if you're aware that it's there in the first place, and that you're being careful about it and not taking advantage of anybody, intentionally setting out to make sure that that power imbalance is not being taken advantage of, it's possible to do. But I would be willing to bet that this guy didn't consider any of that. I'd be willing to bet that all he cared about was getting with this woman, and that's about it. And if that meant, you know, using his position to give himself an edge, then that's what that meant. I don't know. That's just kind of the way I see it. It is not only is it not easy to tread through those situations without taking advantage of somebody inadvertently. It is outright difficult to get yourself through those situations without taking advantage of somebody. In my opinion, you just shouldn't do it. You shouldn't meet somebody through your YouTube channel or your whatever. It's just too risky, too difficult to do safely and honestly and responsibly, in my opinion. But I don't know. That's just me. Let me know what you guys think.
I had been divorced for 7 years, and even my children, who were adults at the time, were already adults, said, "Dad, you need to give up this dating thing. You're not really good at it. You don't do a good job at picking people." And so, which is quite something coming from your own children. And so I had just gone through a relationship that anyway, it's a really bad story, but found out things that I didn't want to be involved in, and so I broke it off, and I'm like,
oh God, I so want to know what these things are.
God, I am so done with this. I am done. Obviously, I don't do a good job with this. So if you're going to bring somebody, you got to bring her to me, because I'm not venturing out. And of course, so then I was prepared when she did reach out on Facebook, because I'm like, no. I know this trick. I'm not going down there. Do I know you? So I was trying to.
Yeah, I just requested to be a friend.
You know, the problem really is that being rich, like Gene Bailey most certainly is, and famous and having influence like he has, means that it's a lot harder to be sure that the relationship is real. And it's not just like I'm being taken advantage of type of thing, you know. Or it's a lot harder, not even that you're being taken advantage of, but it's harder to know as the other person that you really do care about this person, and it's not just about the money or the influence or the fame or whatever. You know, when people see somebody that's famous to some degree, like Gene Bailey is, he's on TV, they're starstruck. That's how it works. That's what happens. They are starstruck. And I just don't see how she could find herself in a situation where they are dating and there is no power imbalance there. Or that she sees things for what they are completely clearly and fairly, and, you know, nobody is being taken advantage of. There are no stars in anybody's eyes, and they feel like equals. They're both on equal footing. Relationships are hard enough without having fame or money mixed into it, you know. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about it.
It's right, and we are.
Yes, we're very good friends.
So that's how that started. But Terry, what's your favorite Christmas with you and I?
Was there only one? How long have they been together now? I don't know.
There one?
I think we had a really good time. We have got 7 children between the two of us, and the first.
Right. So they're all adults, I believe. So they don't have 7 children together. As far as I know, they don't have any children together, right? They just have like children separately.
Christmas that we went to Bellevue, Nebraska, and it was snowing, and it was over by.
Hey, I'm in Nebraska. Again, there isn't a tourist destination that I went to this time. It's family, so I guess there are some tourist things to do here, like she said, Bellevue. But yeah, I'm just with family members. So.
At Bellevue High School East used to be just one high school, and we made it snowing. We'll take all 7 of them. We'll take them on sleighs. We went out and we bought 7 sleighs, 9 actually, because
Yeah, I think that they're all adults now. All of the kids that they're referring to, I believe. And, yeah, they're rich. So I don't think it really matters if they bought all these sleighs.
We had some. And so we have a picture, and I didn't send this picture in, but we went down the slopes, and by the end of our adventure, there was not a sled that was broke.
They were all plastic.
There were some wooden ones too, but you know, the circular ones, we had pictures of them with their faces through it taking pictures because they had so much fun, but they all broke their sleds. It was family fun. Yeah.
Everybody had a good time.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move along.
Wow, that is absolutely something else. It's really fascinating to hear some of these people kind of humanize themselves, knowing some of the absolutely unhinged, disturbing, evil views that they have. You know, these people seem plenty nice, but they are the die-hardiest of extremist Trump supporters, like MAGA-loving nutbags out there. I have some absolutely crazy stuff from Gene Bailey on my main YouTube channel. Hang on, give me a second here. Let's see. I mean, here, just look at this video. This is just like one example of how absolutely obsessed with Donald Trump this guy is. This one is from, when is this from? This is from late April 2022.
We invited President Donald J. Trump to come join us tonight. He couldn't do that. But I guarantee you he's going to see this video if he's not watching live. So Dale, if you're taking a camera shot, I want you to tell President Trump what you think of him right now.
I mean, they'll do absolutely anything for Donald Trump. It's disturbing. I mean, it's a pretty big it's a pretty big crowd, too. I mean, just look at this. Jesus, dude. They're chanting USA and stuff. My God. Just nutty stuff, man. I don't know. These people disturb the hell out of me sometimes because of some of the absolutely unhinged beliefs that they hold. Let me know what you think about them in the comments. And by the by, if you want to see more of this, I think I'm going to be covering more of it in the morning on my unfiltered YouTube channel, Telltale Unfiltered. So if you want to see more, we're going to be doing this exact thing on my unfiltered YouTube channel, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I do this exact thing. So come hang out with me, Telltale Unfiltered, link in the description. And yeah, let me know what you think. Also, Merry Late Christmas. Thank you so much, yours truly, number one pony. Appreciate that. Merry Late Christmas to you, too. But yeah, awesome. I'll tell you what, guys, that's what I'm going to call it for now. I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me. If you want to see more, again, meet me here tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. It'll be fun. Get to hang out and all that stuff, just like now. Hopefully I don't have internet problems tomorrow morning. But, yeah. Alright, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you again so much for coming, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning, hopefully, okay?
If you like what I do and you want to make sure I can continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, you can support me on Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. I sell all kinds of shirts and stickers and stuff on there. Second, you can support me by checking out my Etsy store. I sell 3D printed stands for every system, from the original Nintendo to the Xbox One. And finally, if you want to support me in other ways, you can check me out on my other channels. I have the podcast channel, which is where I talk about whatever's on my mind. Politics, social issues, whatever. You can also find it everywhere podcasts can be found. Or you can check out the videos on my main channel where I focus on destructive cults. As it is with most channels these days, I rely on the support of viewers like you to keep my channel alive, so sharing my work is extremely helpful. Anyways, check me out in all those places if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys.